I think there's something deeper going on in the Republican Party here, and I am upset about what happened last night. We've become a party of losers at the end of the day. There's a cancer in the Republican establishment. Let's speak the truth. I mean, since Ronna McDaniel took over as chairwoman of the RNC in 2017, we have lost 2018, 2020, 2022, no red wave that never came. We got trounced last night in 2023. And I think that we have to have accountability in our party. For that matter, Ron, if you want to come on stage tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell them you resign, I will yield my time to you. And frankly, look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party. Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party.
All right, guys. So the Republican Party is supposed to be the party of personal accountability and responsibility. Okay, this is what we always talk about when we talk about culture in this country, when we talk about crime in this country, when we talk about Democrats. Personal responsibility and accountability is something that seems to be a foreign concept, right, in 2023. And apparently this also applies within the Republican Party as well, too, especially when we get to the elite establishment circles that are running the party, okay? A bunch of people who have not been held accountable for the fact that the Republican Party has been losing major elections for at least the past 5 or 6 years. Now, one of the people at the top of the Republican establishment that is supposed to be responsible for helping the party win elections is the chair of the RNC, Ronald McDaniel, who Vivek Ramaswamy called out at the last GOP debate stage, and apparently she went into a full-blown meltdown over being called out for the latest string of election losses for Republicans.
What happened on the night before the debate was the Republican Party nationally got trounced. And everybody, if
destroyed, Kentucky,
totally destroyed.
Everybody.
Virginia, I mean, kind of Ohio, you just go, these are red states, okay? Oh, Kentucky and Ohio, certainly. And so I'm walking in, this is the morning after that trouncing. This is the chairwoman of the Republican National Committee. She's coming, she's like, hey, how are you? I'm like, I'll give you a handshake. She's like, how you doing? I said, not that well, given that last night didn't go very well. She said, what happened last night?
Like oblivious.
Is
she saying it jokingly?
No, she's saying it almost angrily, right? Because I was like, the last night didn't go well. It's like she's challenging me. She says, well, what happened last night?
Oh, okay.
Like, what happened last night? I don't know what happened last night. Tell me what happened last night. Yeah. And I'm just like, this is the person who's accountable for running the Republican Party. I said, well, last election. She said, we have nothing to do with that.
Really?
I run the National Party. These are state races. We have nothing to do with that. So where's and then says and then starts to like escalate her voice and says, I refuse to fall on the sword for this one. I refuse to fall on the sword for this one. This is not my fault. And it's like, okay, clearly she's been criticized.
How many
all day
minutes
for
before
this.
you hit the stage is this happening?
Oh, this is like early. This is in the morning, right?
Okay,
like
pre-game prep. Yeah,
you kind of go through. They show you where you're going to be standing. Here's your microphone. So that's where this happens. So it's not like I surprised her on the stage.
Got it.
All right, she knew where I'm at on this.
She had already had a long morning with this topic.
Oh, of course, and should. I mean, 2018 loss, 2020 loss, 2022 no red wave, 2023 trouncing, total drubbing for the Republican Party. This is the individual who's the national chairwoman. She runs the entire Republican National Committee. Where's the accountability? So I get on stage, and you're getting some standard, beaten dead old horse Donald Trump question. I said, forget that. Let's talk about what happened last night, because the last 2 elections he's been out, Republicans have gotten trounced for different reasons. So stop blaming the boogeyman. There's an accountability problem within the Republican Party. And so I say on stage that Ronna McDaniel, if she wanted to come up on stage, and I meant it, if she did want to come up on stage, debate stage time is valuable, but I would still yield my time to her if she wants to use the microphone, look the American people in the eye, and say she resigns, which would be good for the Republican Party, and I believe she should resign. So what does she say? So then the press reports there's people apparently sitting in her row or behind her row in front of her, where she is, think about this, the neutral arbiter of the Republican National Committee later in the debate when I'm sparring with other candidates, booing when I'm speaking, clapping against other candidates when they're speaking against me. So
She was booing?
yeah,
Who was booing?
She's booing me at other points in the debate. And I don't care about that, but think about your dereliction of duty. Yeah. You're supposedly the neutral arbiter of the entire National Republican Party hosting a debate. It's like a referee cheering in the middle of a game between two teams. It doesn't make sense. Like if the referee is like booing or hollering in favor of one team or the other, that's what that looks like if she's the arbiter. Then she's saying during the breaks, and this is as reported by the press, so I wasn't there, but it's apparently sources who are around her, reported by multiple sources in the press, saying that I would not get another cent from the RNC.
Yep.
So think about what that means. That means she believes that's her money.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Okay, that is Vivek essentially going into details about his day dealing with Ronald McDaniel and trying to get some accountability within the Republican Party, because it's true. This party, there is no personal accountability or responsibility when Republicans lose, right? Nobody loses their job. Nobody gets fired. Nobody's held accountable. And then we wonder why we continue to lose and lose and lose. It's because you have leadership that is not being held accountable. And this is why the party has become the party of losers. Vivek Ramaswamy's right. Okay? Again, these people want to continue to blame Trump. Well, it's Trump's fault. It's all Trump's on the ballot. Trump's not on the ballot. It's not Trump's fault. It's not Trump's fault at all. It is the fault of the establishment, elite leaders who, in my opinion, don't really want to win. They don't want to win because the Republican Party, in order to be in opposition to Democrats, which is basically the primary reason why the Republican Party exists on the national level, they don't have to win anything. And honest to God, truth is that I believe that that's the reason why they don't really try that much. Now, again, at the local level, it's important, right? And I think that the Republican Party at the local level is different than the national party. I think that the local level Republicans are much better than national level Republicans. And if this trend continues, the Republican Party is in danger of literally becoming just a local party that cannot compete in national elections because, quite honestly, they just don't really want to, and there's no real vision and leadership at the top that is driving the party in a direction where they can compete consistently on the national level. And again, one of the reasons why is because you have people like Ronald McDaniel, who's also Mitt Romney's niece, okay, running the show. And when asked about her role and, why the Republicans aren't doing better and what she can do to be better, right? And, should somebody take some accountability for what's happening? She turns into a word salad, right? This is what happens when you have strong, independent women running stuff, right? So let's actually listen to this.
Joining me now, Ronna McDaniel, chairwoman of the Republican National Committee. Ronna, thanks so much for being with us. Vivek and others are saying that under your leadership, Republicans have lost election after election, and positing the question, why should you retain your job given the track record of the party under your leadership? And to that, what do you say?
Well, first, I'm going to continue to focus on Joe Biden and Democrats. And I think there was a moment missed during that debate by Vivek to talk about the fact that we still have 13 American hostages in Israel. The fact that for the first time ever in the history of either party, we had a Jewish co-sponsor for a debate, and we are in very perilous times in our country. And I do think Republican voters, and I hear this echoed all the time, are tired of the circular firing squad within our party. And they're saying, can we please talk about Joe Biden and the Democrats and the border and fentanyl and crime and what's happening to our kids and inflation? But
all these things were talked about by Vivek during the debate, right? But what the hell does Israel have to do with Vivek's criticism of you, right? Again, this is what we're talking about. When asked directly about Vivek's criticism that, hey, we're losing elections under this woman, we need change, she says, well, Vivek should have used that time to talk about the American hostages in Israel and what's going on over there. What does that have? What does that have to do? What does that have to do with his criticism of you? Again, this is the woman that's leading the Republican Party, guys. She's the woman that's supposed to be distributing the funds and the money to help win races, to get people to turn out and vote. And this is how she answers when asked about her failing to do her job. She tries to use what's going on there in Israel as a way to distract from criticisms of her. A completely whole separate situation. And it's disgusting. It really is. I love how Republicans, they quickly want to try to use what's going on in Israel as a way to deflect from any criticism. This is not the first time I've heard this, right? You can't scream, but Israel, every time you get criticized on something that has nothing to do with that. It's amazing stuff.
Definitely defend my record as chair. Listen,
yeah, I mean, Ronna, I agree with you. Let me just say, I mean, all that you just said, I couldn't agree with more. But and you're right. I mean, obviously that should be a key focus. But I know you believe in accountability. You talk about it all the time. I mean, everyone. I mean, I'm accountable. You're right.
Some accountability.
Okay, that's what I asked you, and you went into another conversation.
I was going to go there. Sorry, I took too long on the answer, but I was getting there. I'm not trying to avoid anything. Let me promise you that, Laura. Listen, when Vivek didn't vote in 2016, I was leading Michigan to the first win in history in 30 years. In 2018, we defied the odds. We got 3 senators, people like Josh Hawley, that allowed President Trump to build the largest conservative majority on the Supreme Court. In 2022, the RNC, which is a turnout machine, right? We're not the messengers. We don't create the messages for the campaigns. Those are the consultants who get very, very well paid.
Well, one of the things, Ronna, that happened was, I think in Virginia, people were wondering where the money was, whether they were going to get some help from the RNC. And I know at one point you said that you were not asked for money in Virginia, but a Republican source familiar with the Youngkin team in Virginia told The Angle late tonight that is false. And meaning your story keeps changing. Anyone who thinks Virginia Republicans wouldn't want to help when we knew we'd be outspent isn't being serious. You know, Ronna, they were outspent by $8 million.
Glenn Youngkin did a phenomenal job, and he raised a lot of money. A lot of people don't understand fundraising. I can't raise state dollars. I don't get unlimited convention and state dollars. And these were state House and state Senate races. The RNC is a federal committee. So, I mean, come on. Can you just, these are people who've come after me all the time. They're on Twitter. They're all the time. And let's see their results. What did they do in Virginia? How much money did they give? But let me stand by something else. In 2022, we took back the House. And the RNC is part of that. We're building the road. And we're launching Bank Your Vote. We've got to do that.
Ronna, we got to roll, but thank you for joining us tonight. We have a lot more to get to next.
This is why we're losing, right? This is why we're losing. Because this woman right here is leading the fundraising arm of the Republican Party. And when asked to contribute to the Virginia elections, right? Because the DNC didn't say, oh, well, this is a state election, therefore we're not going to pour money into this race, right? This is not our responsibility. No, the DNC actually campaigned hard in Virginia, okay? The Democrat chairperson was there on the campaign trail, okay? Democrats poured millions, big money in Virginia because they see Glenn Youngkin as a threat to the Democrat establishment. So they didn't say, oh, well, this is not a national race. This is a state race, so we're not going to put money. No, they invested money into winning. The RNC, on the other hand, when confronted about the fact that she didn't put as much money into it as the Democrats did, she didn't go as hard as the Democrats did. Oh, well, this is not my responsibility. This isn't my responsibility. Why are you looking at me for? We're a federal election committee. Like, it's like, again, no responsibility, no accountability. And the reason why is because the honest to God truth about the Republican Party at the national level, not the local level, right? I'm being very clear. This is about the national level Republican Party. They're a paper tiger, right? In the sense that fundamentally they operate in a way in which because for whatever reason, Republicans are actually scared to push their own vision, okay, in regards to their own legislation, right? One thing Democrats do good is that you know what Democrats are trying to do, right? You know the legislation that they're trying to push because they spend a lot of their time marketing what they're trying to do. Republicans, on the other hand, spend more time talking about how they're opposed to everything that Democrats want to do instead of talking about what Republicans want to do to fix what Democrats have done wrong or why Republicans are better than Democrats outside of just not being a Democrat, right? So the Republican Party fundamentally right now lives to be a party of opposition rather than a party of leadership. And that's because you have people like Mitch McConnell, who's mastered the art of opposition, particularly during the Obama years, because he's leading the party and he doesn't have a real legislative agenda outside of, again, just being opposed to Democrats. You don't actually need to win races to be opposed to Democrats, right? That's the problem with the Republican Party. When people say, well, the Republican Party is self-sabotaging, yeah, they are, because they actually really don't want to win. They literally just want to be, and I'm talking about the national level here, they literally just want to be a party that's opposed to Democrats, and that's it. And you don't need to win to be opposed to Democrats, right? All you need to do is just to have enough seats to not let Democrats push their agenda, and then occasionally, you work with them, to do some things, but you never actually really have to lead or push any legislation or to actually motivate people to vote for you outside of being in opposition to the Democrats. And that is the current state of the Republican Party, and that's why they don't care, guys, right? Like it's the way that it currently is, it is set up to where they don't care whether they actually win or lose. In fact, they would much rather lose, because losing means that you can just say, oh, well, everything the Democrats do is bad, and you never actually have to really do anything to lead on certain issues and to lead on the agenda. Again, if the Republican Party, for example, actually had the presidency, had the House, had the Senate, they would actually have to fix the border. They would actually be expected to close the border, to do everything in their power to close the border. Republicans don't want to be in that position, right? They don't want to, okay? Because that will actually require them to do it. They would much rather lose, right? Have, 49, maybe a 50-50 split in the Senate, have a slight, majority or less, in the House. They would much rather be in a position where they can blame Democrats for why it's not getting done, fundraise off of that, and keep their jobs, right? While, again, barely making progress or winning in certain key elections, self-sabotaging, like coming out here and calling for a national abortion ban. They'd much rather do that, right? They would much rather do that. And this is why nobody's ever held accountable, because the party is a paper tiger built on simply just fundraising off of being in opposition to the Democrats instead of actually trying to move the country forward in any real direction, right? They don't want to do that. They just let the Democrats do it and say, hey, well, we approve of this and we don't approve of that, right? Again, look at the leaders in the Republican Party. Look at Mitch McConnell. Is he inspiring people to actually go out and vote Republican in any way whatsoever, right? Is he somebody that you listen to and say, oh, yeah, I know what this guy's agenda is from a legislative perspective. I know what he's fighting for. No, he's a fundraiser. He's a fundraiser. I'm not saying that he's not a great legislator. He is. Historically, he has been a great legislator in the sense that he knows how to get things done, but only when it comes to pushing the establishment agenda, right? And being in opposition to the Democrats, right? But he can fundraise. This is why Republicans in the Senate are scared of him. They never kick him out. They never remove him from leadership, even though he's been a failure when it comes to actually winning. But he's been amazing at being in opposition to Democrats, right? He's good at that, but he's not good at actually winning anything, right? Because that's what the Republican Party considers to be winning. They don't consider winning actually pushing a conservative agenda. No, they consider winning just to be in opposition to the Democrats. Kevin McCarthy, he was a fundraiser, right? Ronald McDaniel, fundraiser. All the people that are leading the Republican Party, they're not visionaries. They don't have a real vision. They're not inspiring people to get out and vote. They don't care about people actually getting out and vote and winning anything because they don't have a vision to push. And it all starts with the leadership at the top. They're never held accountable because their idea of winning is not actually winning anything. Okay? It's just continuing to be a minority party that virtue signals about how bad the Democrats are and fundraises off of that. They keep their jobs, they keep getting paid, and they don't ever have to actually do anything, right? That's why they're never held accountable. And that's the biggest problem. When it comes to established Republicans, they have no vision. They want to lose, okay? And also on top of that, the system is rigged, right? Which basically is what Ronald McDaniel allegedly admitted out loud by claiming that, hey, well, I'm not going to send money to Vivek because he criticized me. Which again, she's just admitting that the system's rigged, right? Again, there has to be change in the Republican Party from top down. You cannot continue to go along with the same establishment leadership that, again, has no clear vision for the country in regards to where they want to take this country. They're never held accountable for anything, and they continue to lose. And then, we wonder why we continue to get the same results. But again, these same people, they turn around and they point the finger at Trump and say, well, it's Trump's fault, when these people haven't won anything since Trump. Like, the last time they won was with Trump, right? Trump actually made the Republican Party a winner. Without Trump, I would argue that the Republican Party would be on a massive losing streak. Okay, I mean, they would not have won anything since, I guess you'd argue maybe 2014 was a win. Okay, maybe, right? But I'm just saying, at least from the presidential perspective, they would not have won anything since Bush, right? Since Bush, okay? McCain got destroyed. Romney got destroyed. Trump, again, if Trump didn't come along, the Republican Party would be dead. They would already be what they're probably destined to be anyways, which is just a local level party, and just they're never going to compete at the national level, okay? And that's not going to change until the establishment actually gets a vision outside of being opposed to Democrats and fundraising off of that, right? And I think Vivek, the conversation that he sparked is a very important conversation that needs to be had in the Republican Party, because again, the Republican Party, they are on life support at the national level. Okay, they're about to be a dead party if this continues the way it is. But again, this is what they want, right? They don't actually really want to win. So it's all a part of the plan anyways. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.